story about him is that he developed a remote control tractor. So, you know, a full-scale tractor that somebody standing with a joystick, whatever, could control. And one night in 1986, in the middle of the night, there was a knock on the door. And in Russia, in the USSR, when there's a knock on the door in the middle of the night, it was not a good thing. And in fact, it was the KGB, and they gathered him up. No word as to where he was going, what he was doing. He was driven down to an airport, stuck in a plane where the windows were blacked out. He was flown someplace. When he got there, he discovered he was in Kiev, which happens to be near Chernobyl. And the reason was there had just been a reactor explosion. And somebody had said, you may remember the Chernobyl reactor explosion, and he was there because somebody remembered this remote control tractor he had designed. So they had him there to take care of it, not to operate it, but to fix it up every night. Which meant after the tractor rode into all of that radiation and picked up all that radioactive dust, he was expected to go climbing all over it and do whatever repairs were necessary. Fortunately for him, after the third day, one of the KGB officer who was running it rode it into an area where the radiation was so high it fried the circuitry and they couldn't get it back. So there was nothing left for him to do, and they sent him home. Of the 20 people that were housed in a school classroom with him, he was the only one who survived more than 6 months. The rest of them died of radiation poisoning. He did have some health problems for it, but managed to overcome it. Leonid was a member of a club out in Pennsylvania. His son lived out there. He was a member of our club. He was one of our key field day operators. Very interesting guy, very intelligent, very knowledgeable guy. We're certainly going to miss him. You know, everyone who knows him is going to miss him, and we're sorry that something like that would happen to him. And it's amazing that he did survive Chernobyl and survive the KGB, and he survived the winter living in the streets of Leningrad.
It's like he passed away on his birthday.
Yeah. Well, they don't know exactly what day. He was found in his apartment. They don't know exactly what day. Leonid was doing a lot of tinkering with antennas, because where he lived here, he couldn't put up an antenna. So he was tinkering with experimental and strange and oddball antennas. This is one of the antennas that was found at his apartment. It's probably a mag loop antenna, because it was sitting next to this MFJ super high Q loop control box. But I have no idea, you know, what. If anybody has any idea about mag loop antennas, if anybody wants to experiment with it, you know, please take it, and I don't want it to just wind up in the garbage.
What's a mag loop antenna do?
Mag loop antenna is a small, relatively small loop antenna built of loops, and the concept is if the loops are close enough, it actually will generate a very nice RF field. It has something to do, if you remember, RF fields are magnetic and electric, and it has something to do with the magnetic field being the overpowering winner in that case. And it lets you generate a field with relatively decent SWR and relatively good receive and transmit characteristics.
Yeah, but there's an only drawback. They're generally considered low noise. The only drawback is they have to be tuned exact. Which is sometimes a blessing. That's why you have the high Q tuner, because
Right. This is the memorial for Leonid. Sure. Thank you for your time.
No, well, John asked, yeah, okay.
So is it HF?
We think it's HF. We don't know.
it is.
There were no plans. I don't know if this was intended as a multi-band, 10 meter, whatever, but if somebody wants to experiment with it, we would love for somebody to experiment with it and see what they can find. Georgie?
I'm willing to do that.
We're headed to your apartment with the loop tester and try to see it out.
Okay, because it's got these two little pigtails on the end, and I'm not sure what they plug into. It's got a coax, but then it's got these two things, so you're going to have to do some research. He had a collection of all sorts of things for example, a big pie plate, or bigger than a pie plate, some sort of cooking sheet with a bracket on it to hold up a ham stick, so it was basically a vertical with a ground plane. He had all sorts of self-made helical wound antennas, but this one was interesting, so we'll see. His son did give us his two rigs. He had a 10-Tech Jupiter and a 756 Pro 2, which we're going to sell we're either gonna keep one to give to, as loaners for new hams, or we're gonna, and sell the other, or we'll sell both of them in the ham fest. So, we will miss it. Okay. Andrew Rosca, do you wanna do,
Sure.
your thing now, and then we'll do, Terry, because Terry looks like he's still busy. In fact, did you wanna use my computer, or you?
Yes, please. Are you on mine? If you all recall, John gave us a pretty good presentation on weather forecasting a few meetings ago. And we came across some additional data that's available that I thought was pretty interesting, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. Yeah, weather, let's go to weather underground first. So one of the sites we looked at last time was Weather Underground, which is one of my favorites because it has a tremendous amount of data available. And one of the cool features there is the ability to see how the weather evolved over the past few hours on a map.
Oh, by the way, while Andrew's doing that, Ernest, you may have noticed, is not here tonight. He's on the phones at these meetings. Ernest has managed to come down with pneumonia. He's okay, he's home, recovering. I saw him about 6 o'clock. He said it's okay to tell you, but if anybody wants to send in regards, it would be a nice thing. He was away on vacation with his friends. Got sick and did typical Ernest stuff. Well, it's just a cold, it's just a cold, it's just a cold. And finally they got home and Kathy essentially held it down to his head. And the doctor said, "Oh, you have pneumonia, to the hospital, thank you very much."
Sort of like it just fell, I was putting something up in the shower, and it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, many of you know.